little bit more than they did last season. And I think they feel pretty confident doing so from the interviews that we've had. Now, here we are in the draft phase. Senna banned, a Renekton banned. That's no surprise. Does mean we might see a Lee Sin pick if Riddle don't ban the Lee Sin in the ban phase on the red side. But nothing crazy here, Jamada, already.
Yeah, no, pretty standard ban so far. Expecting the Gwen on red side. It seems to have, I think Gwen has just been banned outright throughout every single NLC game so far.
There was one where it wasn't, but it didn't get picked.
It just didn't even get picked, yeah. So other than that, yeah, Lucian, I'm expecting maybe a Rumble ban, though. Rumble's a champion that seems to get through relatively frequently, despite how strong this champion is. And the Karma also kind of strangely, I'm not sure how I feel about the Karma priority just yet. It obviously does look good, but honestly, Nordavind, plenty of options here. Rumble, I think Sharp had it yesterday and he had a pretty good game.
Varus is also open. We've seen a lot of Varus priority in draft recently. And this is the thing, you can pick him up and like pair him with a support that can protect him, or you can go for the Ezreal, which is also massively rising in priority. One of the best ADCs that we have on this patch.
Yeah, and I think as well, Ezreal, one of the few champions that can kind of deal with the Rumble equalizer too. You can just immediately shift off it as long as he does have Arcane Shift available. So pretty good rotation for me from Riddle, and Nordavind immediately Kai'Sa, Leona, engage, follow-up dive. It just makes immediate sense. There's not much to analyze there. And interestingly, Riddle have locked in Nidalee, which I think you said yesterday it's a pretty good matchup into Rumble. I've not seen it personally, but I think it definitely can keep pace and can definitely match the skirmishing a bit too.
Yeah, we saw Nulty play it, right? Nulty locked in his Nidalee, and I think we're seeing a lot of teams that draft this, as you said, Jamada, this agency, the ability to engage is really high priority for teams. Like being able to just say, okay, we go now, and then press some buttons and it happens. Teams really value that in the meta right now. And Nordavind have already crafted a comp that can do that. Riddle, less so. Riddle look like they're playing a little bit further back. Range comp. Wouldn't be surprised to see something similar to that Singularity draft where we have something like the Zoe mid potentially, where we go that full poke. We try to get control of the objectives and say, well, come face check us then, and then you have to walk through all of that poke. So that might be something that Riddle look to draft here. They are getting rid of things like the Jace and the things like the Nocturne. So having that extra immediate dive pressure as well. Interesting to see no Lee Sin picked up, which has been such a high priority pick as well in both solo lanes.
All right, this is what I want to see, okay? I want to see Nordavind whip out the Yone. I want to see Ericsson play Yone. Yeah. I think with this team comp, Yone is actually really, really nice. You can see as well, Riddle really don't want these physical, like, diving strong laners as well come out through the solos, which is why they targeted Jace, Lucian, and now the Nocturne as well. I think it fits beautifully. Having said that, I don't know if Ericsson really is that style of player, so we'll see whether or not they decide to go for it. Instead, it is going to be that Nautilus lock-in for the side of Riddle. I think Nautilus doesn't really offer a huge amount against heavy dive, but all in all, it's a pretty solid 2v2 with Ez Nor into Kai'Sa Leona.
One of the things that I've noticed from Ericsson, I used to think that Ericsson was more control magey, but over the last spring split and summer, he has kind of flexed himself as being a bit more of this aggressive mid lane player. So I would not be surprised to see it. There's the Lee Sin. Now I imagine I wouldn't be surprised to see that go to Ericsson in the mid. Wondering what we see from Kerberos though. I mean, Kerberos is the kind of player that has got a lot of carry potential in his arsenal. So we'll see how they round out this draft.
I'm thinking Wukong. I feel like maybe Kerb does play Lee, but it doesn't strike me as a Kerberos champion. So something that can just follow up on dive does make sense. We saw the Wukong cover for a second, but he's going to fall back onto the Gnar. And I think it makes perfect sense. You've got a team fight composition already set up there. And Lee, pretty comfortable in the mid lane with Rumble, really easy skirmishing. And it's actually on the opposite side, Kex happens up with Wukong instead. So kind of throwing down the gauntlet a little bit into Kerb, who I think week 1 had a pretty damn good time on this Wukong running the TP Ignite tech. Pretty fun to watch.
I like the fact that you put Wukong into Kerberos specifically, because almost feels a bit rude. I mean, I know Wukong's good. I know Wukong's good into Gnar, but I like it. It's a lot of confidence to do that. And I think you got some pretty solid 2v2s across the board here from the early game, at least from solo lane and jungle matchups. And assuming this is going to be more like a tank-focused set as well, like you've got a lot of damage coming through from the side of Riddle, and then you've got like people slinging out stuff from afar, like the Airs and the Nidalee, and still got that potential to really like proper pull the trigger if you do get like a good catch, or if you do get some poke down as well. Whereas Nordavind much more focused towards that dog power teamfight style.
Yeah, and that's the kind of teamfight style that has worked out for Nordavind. So it's something they're very used to playing. I mean, as Jamada said, like he wouldn't have been surprised to see the Wukong for Curb, because that Rumble Wukong combo that we've seen them run time and time again has worked out massively for them. But we'll see. I do favor Nordavind coming into this, even after the draft. I still think they are the team that is more likely to take the win, but we see upsets in NLC all the time. So I mean, we'll see if Riddle can get on the board versus a very, very strong team. Now, we've got the OG casting duo in the house, ready to go for our day 2, week 2 games. It's Hiprain and Orcs.
Thank you very much, Xcandrel. Hello and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. Orcs, what are you making of these two comps here, mate?
Honestly, I feel like pretty evenly matched overall. I think both teams have a lot of tools going forwards. I really like the dive aspect of Nordavind's composition and the fact that they can use that Rumble equalizer so effectively. But my big concern is his Ezreal. This champion is so broken on this current patch, and it's going to make all those attempts to get onto him much harder. And I also feel like just the fact that you have so much disruption and the Wukong and the set, I think Nordavind's got a tricky game. And honestly, looking at this one, we all voted in favor of Nordavind. Riddle, of course, are 0-2, but they've had a tough matchup. And if you look at, obviously, we're very early in the split, so it's kind of hard to take this into standing. But Riddle's competition, the two teams they faced, are both 2-0. The two teams that Nordavind have faced are both 0-2. So very different strength of schedule so far.
Yeah, we do kind of think about the teams that Riddle have actually played as well. It's Fnatic Rising was one of those teams. One of the streams that has just been so dominant here during this entire tournament. And then I can't remember exactly who the second one was.
Galaxy Racer.
Galaxy Racer, thank you. Yeah, who've honestly, coming with a few upsets here. MC's able to take out that ward, so it gives himself a little bit of experience. Typically, we like to see that get shared to the solo laners, but I don't think anyone was quite in the wings for this. And it looks like Riddle actually let's try and rotate Kex and MC here just to be a real thorn in the side of Sharp, as Blue Buff's going to get started up and they just bop over the wall. Sharp's going to get forced off this buff. Spear goes a little bit wide. They're probably going to be able to survive this one. Curb may just look to try and poke MC a little bit.
Yeah, and eventually Kerberos has to go to lane. He can't stay here forever, and Sharp can't deal with MC 1v1. You start Scrap Shield as Rumble to get your heat up, and there's no way you're ever going to take that fight. I really like the invade coming out. I think if you're picking the Nidalee into the Rumble, you're going to get outscaled in terms of your team fight impact. You have to find that early momentum. So I like that start coming out from the side of Riddle just to find that early pressure and steal away a buff.
We'll have to see kind of how that affects the rest of Sharp's clear now and the rest of his rotation, because odds are he's not going to be able to go up to that blue buff on MC's side of the jungle. He's on the wrong point. The air at PlayStation just flashes into Chrisberg's face. Chrisberg with a very quick flash of response. And bot lane is already getting very scrappy down there.
Yeah, I mean, Riddle actually managing to find the momentum in the early laning phase, which is a little bit interesting, because honestly, Leona's pretty solid level 1 in the Nautilus. And as I'm saying this, Ericsson, things looking really Riddle favored so far.
Yeah, Riddle's lanes are really starting to pop off a little bit here as well. Kex also has a CS advantage over Curb. So Nordavind in the lanes are starting to struggle, and MC now moving into his own jungle, trying to kind of pick up the clear himself. If we kind of track where both of these junglers are at the moment, MC does have an advantage due to the fact he was able to take away that blue buff. Is now looking to clear downward, maybe towards his bot lane. Maybe let's see if he can maybe set up for either a kind of an early reset for Riddle, or maybe even a cheese gank. We'll have to see what he's going to do.
And I think, honestly, for me, the bot lane is kind of the bit of the rough one for the side of Nordavind. Mid lane, Set can really look to challenge Lee Sin and get up in his face in the early levels. Top lane, this matchup is pretty Wukong favored. We actually saw Kerberos last split pick Wukong into Gnar pretty continuously to find a bit of an advantage there. But bot lane, Kai'Sa, pretty strong shove early, and the fact that Leona should be able to walk up on a Nautilus with the power of your Q level 1. So the fact that this lane hasn't been going well, it's really not looking good for the side of Nordavind so far, because it enables Nidalee. Whenever there's a Nidalee in the game, we talk about the pressure from the lanes and how that they can assist her to look for these aggressive invades. And that's what I'm going to be tracking so far this game, because the more MC makes Sharp's life difficult, the more there's going to be an advantage for the side of Riddle.
They might be looking for a little something here, although Sharp's in the area. So's MC. Believe they spotted each other out as the hook's coming down into this bot side and the fight is scrapping out everywhere. Chrisberg rooted up and Gooby just continues to fire away. Chrisberg's burning to the Ignite and that is first blood to PlayStation. MC buys a bit of space from Touch and they just get a little bit of bonus damage. Oh! No, they don't. The spear's enough to snipe and MC mops up the second.
This could be more. Okay, Sharp just dodge away. Touch had flash there. Could have gotten out, but it was a really nice play coming out from the side of Riddle. What actually happened there was Sharp was looking to cover, but because he moved out of that tri-brush, he didn't see MC come behind. The flash was down from Chrisberg, and just PlayStation Gooby 100% commit and were able to find that. So if you watch actually the Rumble, didn't know Nidalee was there, was actually going to recall on the brush, wasn't able to assist, and then in this 2v2, they just throw all the damage at Chrisberg. He ends up going down, and then Touch. It was a nice Zenith Blade to dodge away, but walks back into the spear. So really good start for Riddle. We were talking about how they wanted that early pressure, that early momentum. Bot lane is now a bit of a disaster. Mid lane, we've seen Slow Q pull ahead, and Kex is having a great time top. So 3 winning lanes and a Nidalee is definitely a good win condition.
And now Ericsson on the receiving end of PlayStation's hook, able to ward hop away to safety. Riddle just playing super aggressive in this game.
And honestly, it's pretty concerning because I don't think there's like a clear scaling advantage for the side of Nordavind. Obviously, Kai'Sa does really well in the later stages, but current Ezreal, with how well he syncs with his build with Divine Sundra, even like the Frozen Heart later on, really scales well into the later stages. And when you're dealing with things like a Wukong, a Set, a Nautilus, it's not like a Kai'Sa can just dive on him. So Nordavind need to find a plan to sort of find momentum back in this one. Really, I'm looking towards Sharp hitting that level 6 point because that's where he starts to get a big power advantage over this Nidalee, who obviously doesn't get her ultimate at level 6, just gets a bit more in her Cougar form stats.
And I think one of the things we can also look at is the fact that this dragon is still alive. Might have to hold that as slow Q. Just trading onto Ericsson, but Ericsson should be able to move away from this one. Shark's going in to make sure that this wave does push into slow Q. And now it looks like Riddle are going to turn their attention towards this dragon. So it's not a spawn dragon. It's not as quick as some of the ones we have seen, but actually they're not even going to bother with it quite yet. So I say that and the spear hits it. So they are going to bother with the dragon now. They've got the priority in the bot and the mid. There's not really too much that Nordavind can do about this. And we've seen a lot of early dragon stacking throughout the entire first 2 weeks of the NLC. It looks like Riddle looking to keep that pace going.
Yeah, and absolutely should do. I also think it's really important they do it now because you wait a little bit longer. Rumble's going to have that ult. It's a much more risky task to undertake, but MC is getting low. Should just be able to finish this off here. I'm not too concerned. It's whether he dies in the back end. Oh. But we'll just pick it up, and they're not going to chase him down. But yeah, Rumble doesn't have his equalizer. He's not interested in contesting. He's still a little bit behind. And now it means you have 5 minutes before that next dragon. So Riddle can look to further accelerate their lead so they aren't too concerned, because that's the way that I see Nordavind getting back into this one, is their team fighting prowess around things like the Rumble ult, the Mega Gnar. If they can execute on those, there's definitely a big opportunity for them to take control of this game.
We're looking at a either a Infernal or a Mountain. I said Infernal or a Mountain Soul in this game. Next up is obviously going to be that Cloud, but so a lot of Infernals yesterday, and things like Ezreal really love that Infernal Soul now. PlayStation is going to get spotted out by Touch and Chrisberg, so it's going to lose a little bit of health, but thanks to his Scry's Orbi didn't get completely blown up by those two.
And it's a pretty scary combo, and typically Kai'Sa, Leona, a lot of burst potential, and if someone is caught out alone, it's so hard to escape, because once you've got the Kai'Sa passive on you, you know the ult's potentially going to come down and chase you down, and that is going to be available pretty soon to this bot lane. Often see Ezreal spending a lot of time alone as to support roams, and I think that's another concern for Riddle here, that they don't just sort of get complacent with their advantage and leave Gooby in potentially some dangerous positions.
Well, level 6 has now been hit on both PlayStation and Gooby. They shoved the wave in, and just to see what PlayStation's next move is going to be. He's got the Swifties, so he wants to be on that map and around the place as much as possible. Gooby instantly starts to roam up towards the mid wave. I do believe he wasn't seen, actually, because they've got pretty decent vision across that river. So, yeah, he wasn't seen. So they know Gooby knows that he's pretty safe here to go for that roam, and now he can just walk back to bot.
So you actually saw the reason for that was the Herald being started. They wanted to move up, so Gooby just rotated, but PlayStation reset, and he was actually walking towards the top side of the map. But they then saw Chrisberg and Touch pushing another wave. And because they knew that the bot lane of Nordavind were going to be on the top side of the map, there wasn't much of a chance of a contest. So they can just head back bot lane. Gooby misses a tiny bit of CS, but it's not really much. And the Herald is secured. But I really like the decision coming out to go for that reset when they had the opportunity. And then instantly recognizing we're not needed. MC's got this. We're going to have the Herald in pocket. And now I expect this to be thrown down mid eventually, but we'll look to see. For now, though, we see Nordavind looking to contest some vision on the bot side of the map, trying to eliminate that pocket we saw before where Gooby was able to walk through.
Yeah, they are going to clear out the majority of that, although there is a pink ward in that tri-brush, but Nordavind have their own pink ward, so they've got to clear out this vision pretty effectively here. Like you're saying, Sharp's now got that level 6 mark, or at least level 7, so he has the equalizer charged up. MC is looking to see if a Herald can get placed down in the bot wave. And both of these junglers are here, so we could be in for a little bit of action as Solar Flare comes out from Touch. I don't think Nordavind were quite on the same page there for that one.
Yeah, it was a little bit ambitious, and there's a lot of power in combining the CC of Leona with the equalizer, but Nautilus is not the best target. Does have the flash available as well. It was a bit of an overreach. And the thing is, Nordavind have to be super conservative with their ultimates, because the second you burn that equalizer, Riddle then have the power advantage. You need to be playing around your ult cooldown. So as much as it was a bit of a mistake from Touch, I respect the fact that Sharp didn't instantly drop the equalizer, because then they really would have been in a rough spot.
Yeah, I mean, luckily the Leona ultimate, even at rank 1, is pretty short CD, so already half of that has gone back, so not really going to get pressured too much with this Herald right now as MC. My question is where are we going to see him look to put this Herald? He obviously was thinking about putting it in that bot lane there earlier, but I think decided not to.
I think personally mid is just always the best case scenario. I'm of the opinion. I think that the problem in this game is that it's actually, despite the fact there isn't too much wave clear on the side of Nordavind, it can be tricky to take towers just because there's so much engaged potential. You step up to siege and there's an equalizer coming down. And in almost every situation, mid is the trickiest tower to take. Once you have that one cracked, it tends to be a lot easier to lean on those outer towers. So I think Riddle should probably just throw it down there, get a couple of plates, look to secure the second Herald, and use that to take the tower in the end, is my opinion, the best case. They could also use it to time it with this dragon, and then use the pressure from the Herald to pull Nordavind away. You can see Nordavind already trying to contest some of this vision, but it is pretty split down this divide. Now, there's no need for either team to contest this dragon necessarily, but I think with Nordavind's having the equalizer coming in, this is a good window to look for it.
Well, so they are going to try and see if they can find something, although that ward will spot Sharp out, so Riddle probably just going to play fairly safe. 4 seconds until that dragon spawns up, and looks like Riddle do have first prio on the area. They've got that crab to give them that permanent vision and speed buff, and just got the dominant vision there as Touch did look for a Zenith Blade, wasn't able to find it as the Herald's going to get summoned in the mid lane, and Nordavind might actually be able to deal with this before the charge comes out, although looks like Riddle are just going to force their way in to make sure that this does get the charge off, and Gooby's going to get some plates.
Let's be careful about getting in range, but is able to pick them up. You can see them split between him and MC. So getting those plates off the bot lane, getting some extra gold put into the Ezreal, definitely favorable. Now looking towards the dragon. This is a window, though, where I think Nordavind should look to punish.
Yep, they're teleporting in. He's going to fight. Everybody's going to come in. The dragon's already been secured, but that's not the target. The target is the fight. It's Gooby getting melted by the equalizer, as that is going to be one getting pulled in. A lot of damage coming out, but that's going to first fall of the fight as Kex will lose his life to Chrisberg, or will he? Heals up so much. Yes, he will. Chrisberg takes him down, and now Ericsson slides back in, has to flash out. Riddle are finding the snipe as MC secures a double kill. Nordavind lose 3.
And I mean, the equalizer looked pretty decent, but they couldn't quite get it in the choke point. And as soon as that tool was down, the re-engage comes in. Critically, Kerberos was TPing in, essentially completely fresh, no Meganar stacked up. And as a result, it was just a massive turnaround from the side of Riddle, where they come out pretty favorably and getting the dragon as well. We'll get the replay. So dragon's already been taken. You can see Kerberos TPs in with no sort of rage charged up. And then this initial equalizer is solid, but they all just move off it and start putting damage in. And you can watch Kerberos in this entire fight really isn't doing very much. And it's just the issue with having this Gnar in this situation. Wukong is providing so much disruption in comparison. And Riddle really answering well on that one. And the fact they secured the dragon as well is just icing on the cake.
They're going to rotate Chrisberg up towards the top side now. There's no Herald spawning up for about a minute still. So they are just getting onto the early move, trying to also just get some gold injected into Chrisberg because the Divine Thunderer has now been finished up onto Gooby. Chrisberg still sitting on those component items. You can see the gold difference between the two AD carries. It's about 3,000 at the moment. But 300. 300.
Yeah.
I added an extra 0 there. It might shrink a little bit here as PlayStation will find himself on the receiving end of all of the flames from Sharp, and they're able to secure a kill onto him.
Yeah, nice pick coming out. X gonna put some pressure down, but critically the wave's been cleared, so as much as it's a nice kill for Nordavind, they aren't really able to translate it into anything else. And a second Rift Herald spawning soon. Equalizer is starting to work through its cooldown though, but it's not going to be available. If Riddle really want to make a push for this Herald now, the contest is going to be a little bit weak, but it looks like Nordavind with control of the river are just going to start it up.
Yeah, it looks like Riddle are not really even interested in trying to contest this remotely. That's going to be the first neutral objective secured here for the side of Nordavind as Kerberos continues to kind of play weak side for the moment. That tower already low from that initial charge.
I think PlayStation being down and walking for base, the fact Gooby's not there, not really one Riddle able to contest, and now Nordavind can start putting some pressure back in return. They can just take first tower here. Doesn't seem like Riddle are going to be able to get this one as the wave's just been deleted. They are looking for Kerberos though.
Able to dodge away on that spear. Here comes PlayStation though. Kerb loses Meganar. So he's going to get all of the CC layered in. The spear goes wide, but Kerb will lose his life regardless. MC able to secure the kill. Nordavind in the meanwhile do get that first tower secured as Kex is now getting jumped onto. They're going to equalize. They're going to lock him down. He's got the harpoon on. And Chrisberg secures the kill and a second tower for his team. Nordavind starting to pick the pace up a little bit here.
Yeah, not really a fan of that play coming out from Kex there. You could see the game plan was hide in the brush, wait for the eye to appear from the Herald and kill it. But he wasn't able to do so and then just goes down as well. So bit of a rough one overall. And it was Nordavind getting that first tower, Nordavind getting the second tower. Well, Ericsson
has to use the kick onto MC, and he's going to crop up a couple of chicken nuggets as he is being chased down. And MC flashes. That is a 5-0 Nidalee right now.
Yeah, and making it work. When you're playing something like the Nidalee into the Rumble, you have to find that early momentum. And this is that in spades. The Night Harvester already completed, and Medjai's just picked up. And yeah, in this situation, no real way you're getting out against the Nautilus. It's actually pretty funny. You see PlayStation actually hook Kerberos out of the spear, but isn't too relevant. And then you can see the decision making from Kex. If he can hit the eye on the Herald, he's in a great spot. But he actually mistimes the auto and then just gets instantly locked down and burned. And then as a result, they lose that kill and then a second tower. And here, I mean, this is just showing the sheer power of this Nidalee right now. Out of the fog of war, gets huge amount of burst on Ericsson and then just able to chase down even someone with the mobility of a Lee Sin.
Monkey Bonk was a little bit too early. Kraken Slayer's now been finished up into Chrisberg. He's had lacerated in the inventory for a little while. Obviously for the Akafi and Rain upgrade. And you can see Gooby now closing in towards that Manamine. Gonna be a pretty significant spike. That's when you start seeing more of these mana items stacking. Like that Frozen Heart. 9 seconds until the dragon spawns up, and Nordavind do not have control of the mid wave. They are just able to start to kind of nestle some control, but this wave was caught fairly low down. And with the dragon spawning up, Nordavind really don't want to be contesting Soul Point. They want to be able to secure this one. The dragon's already been started. Sharks can take the spear. He does have that equalizer, and Kex is on the flank, spotted out by the ward. The solar flare lands onto MC. There's the equalizer onto the backline already. They've taken out one. Chrisberg's on a killing spree, jumps away to safety as here comes Curb, interrupted by the cyclone, so he can't find the Gnar. Goes for the flash, and they get the follow-up. The monkey falls as Kerberos will take him out. Now PlayStation is caught out, uses the hook on the wall to get a bit of space, but he will be chased as the Sonic Strike will connect, and Chrisberg will finish up the kill. Nordavind will secure the dragon and the team fight. The True Shot Barrage does a lot of damage to Sharp, and MC may look for an assassination off here. The spear goes a little bit too wide, and Nordavind just need to peel out from this one, although MC may try and fish for a quick kill, but Nordavind are safe.
Oh, just really good execution from Nordavind there. The initial equalizer wasn't even that great, but the way they played the team fight afterwards was so good. And when things were looking a little bit shaky, they've managed to find the momentum in the game and shut down the Dragon Soul potential for Riddle by securing that one. I'd like to get a look at the replay and just sort of highlight. I think the key thing to look for is how grouped Nordavind are. they consistently are playing as this 5-man unit. So the engage comes in, they all peel back to kill the set as quickly as possible before you even procs the W. And then a similar situation here. Kex, a little bit overextended. Instead of continuing the fight, they commit onto the Wukong and take him out. PlayStation then steps up to try and help his top laner. And again, it's this 5-man unit from Nordavind. Whenever anyone gets slow, they back away. And because they're consistently locking targets down, it's really easy for Crispberg to spin through them. I was a little bit concerned about this fight for the side of Nordavind, just with how strong Ezreal and Nidalee are right now. But they executed that so well.
And that was a very needed fight for Nordavind, because this game would have slipped away from them horribly if that had been the case. You can see now the gold lead has shrunk down to 1,000, and Crispberg has swung ahead of Gooby in the gold, even with that futures market. Gooby is a little bit further behind. What, 2 items apiece here? Collector now finished up onto Crispberg. A nice spike here for the Kai'Sa. Obviously wants to get that E upgrade off the next item, so that's kind of going to be the bigger power spike, but you'll take the Collector.
Typically, 2 items for Ezreal, really strong spike. With his current build, he sort of continues to spike each item after that, but this is really a position where you want to have an advantage on the Ezreal, because Kai'Sa obviously becomes so strong later on. And so the fact that Crispberg's managed to get that big influx of gold is really positive for the side of Nordavind. Right now, we're pretty even overall, and, you know, there's a big shutdown on MC. If he does end up going down on one of these, you're losing all that gold, you're losing the Medjay stacks, and it is the Rumble who's going to find more value as the game goes on. Yeah, as I'm saying that, as I was talking about the value of the Rumble, that Nidalee doing a lot of damage with just 1 spear.
Yeah, that tower's not long for the world as PlayStation looks to lock them up. Sharp has to flash away as the spear connects. They got the solar flare and the equalizer down as well. Gooby shifts away, but PlayStation will lose his life. Here comes Curb. No Meganar available, but they're looking to slow Q down. He's going to chase onto touch though and almost take him out. Will take him out with a haymaker. Gets kicked back by the Dragon's Rage, and now Nordavind are collapsing. This is Riddle just running through everyone. Curb almost kills Kex, but he's unable to do so. The damage coming in from Gooby and MC is way too much. Curb has to run to the wind, just about survived, but that just fell apart for Nordavind so quick.
Yeah, I mean, so many things just didn't manage to connect there. Slow Q managing to get that kill onto touch and then turning things around with the ultimate. And again, MC and Gooby, the Ezreal and Nidalee are so strong, and they were basically untouched that fight, able to just fire off spears, fire off mystic shots, and just clean up the fight. And now it should be able to secure this. Kerberos is going to come over and potentially try and stop it, but there's so much sustain with the Nidalee heals and the Divine Sunder from Gooby that they're just going to be able to secure this one and find themselves with a pretty substantial lead. 4k gold up and that Baron in hand.
Yeah, Kerb is doing his best to try and at least threaten the Baron, but Riddle just call his bluff and take that out. And let's have a look at the fight again, because it looked like it started good for Nordavind.
Yeah, so it looks like a bit of an overcommit, but the tower goes down. The ult doesn't quite connect, and then they kill PlayStation, but Gooby and MC are pretty much untouched. Kerberos can't really do much without Mega to them. And in the backside of the fight, they are trying to commit onto slow Q, but the set isn't going down so easily. And the critical thing is he gets his W off, which he didn't in the last fight, and he gets the ultimate off. And that's when Kex arrives, makes a huge impact with the Cyclone, whereas Kerberos, the fight's already over by the time he hits Mega, so he's just not able to contribute in that one. Just really solid turnaround from Riddle, and Nordavind just a little bit overcommittal. Like they got the Nautilus, great, but he's not really the reason why Riddle are strong right now. It's all about the Ezreal and the Nidalee, and I think after they killed the Nautilus, they should have just backed away.
They absolutely should have. Now 30 seconds away until the Dragon comes up. Probably going to see another big contest of this. Again, remember, this will be sole point if Riddle can secure it. If Nordavind can get it, they equalize out the Dragons. They start to stack a little bit more of those resistances. Maybe to deal with this kind of poking and prodding that Gooby's going to start doing here. Gooby's almost got that Frozen Heart finished up as well. Got the Glacial Shroud and the Warden's Armor.
And I think the big thing as well is when you look at Nordavind's damage, like the equalizers haven't been really hitting Gooby because he's an Ezreal and he's never going to stand in it. And outside of that, you're not really taking much magic damage from the side of Nordavind. So having all that extra armor makes them a really hard target. And I think Nordavind have realized they're pretty far behind. There's really big spikes from the side of Riddle right now, and they just don't even opt to contest this Dragon. It definitely puts them in a little bit of a tough point with that Mountain Soul being on the cards in 5 minutes. But I think ultimately it's the right decision to just live to fight another day.
Yeah, I think with the fact that they have Baron, they had a lot of summoner spells down with Crispberg no flash, touch no flash. and same for Sharp. So I think maybe due to those factors, they knew if they lost the fight, they'd probably just lose a lot of their base to that Baron shove afterwards. So probably a smart decision by Nordavind to give this one over. Chrisberg also buying a little bit more time for himself. It looks like it's the Hurricane build here coming in for Chrisberg. So should have that Supercharge evolve, if not now, if very, very soon. I can't remember the exact amount he needs. There's a Cup. Actually, will find himself a slow Q, and slow Q will just give him a couple of punches.
I think as well, I mean, Riddle are looking at a really great spot here, and the implications if they win this one. This is their first win of the split, and on top of that, this is against a team who placed 3rd last season. Nordavind obviously had a rough start during the regular split in the spring, but they closed out really strong. It's the same roster, they didn't have any changes, and they're 2-0 so far, so this could be a big swing, a sort of reverse in terms of the trajectory for Riddle in the NLC summer so far. But it all comes down to how they manage things now and how they close things out. Kerberos nearly at Mega. They need to be a bit concerned about that one.
Yeah, he's found himself slow Q, but I don't think he's actually going to pull the trigger. Chrisberg chunked out by the spear. That is actually obnoxious. They find a hook onto Touch, and Touch trying to jump away from everything, but the Depth Charge will seal the deal. PlayStation steals away the kill with the Ignite. They got no AD carry. They can't really do too much here. They may just have to give this tower over. QB doing some significant damage now. 3 items on the Ezreal. Still haven't got that Hurricane finished up for Chrisberg. They are going to lose that tier 2 in the mid lane.
I mean, the thing is, with how much damage MC is doing, it's like you land one spear on a good target, and it's just like they just can't do anything. Nordavind can't team fight if Chrisberg is at like 20% HP, and it just means you have to give up whatever objective. And the thing is, we're getting to the point of the game where you don't have as many objectives to give up. You know, if you're giving up Dragon Souls or you're giving up Barons, you're going to be in such a rough spot. It's now a 6,000 goal lead over the side of Riddle. We've seen the Frozen Heart completed, a Horizon focus for MC. Just ridiculous amounts of damage going to be coming out.
Yeah, we're not really seeing too much sustain coming out from Chrisberg. So when that spear hits, like outside of rune sustain, isn't actually got all that much survivability. So Chrisberg has to be very careful and very weary of where MC is. And we do see kind of like the vision line at the moment. So at the moment, there is a couple of red wards in the blue side jungle for Nordavind, which does give a little bit of freedom, but they're not really looking to pay too much attention around there. I think we're probably just going to see the vision shift into this side of the map because Dragon spawns up in 2 minutes time. Riddle just want to set up for picks and then just set up for Soul.
Realistically, Nordavind to get back in this game, they need to find either MC or Gooby, and they need CC on him. Whether it's Touch, whether it's Ericsson, whether it's Kerberos, they need to lock down one of those targets with a CC and then have the equalizer on top. If they do that and they kill one of those critical carries for Riddle, there's definitely a window for them to come back in this game, but...
Oh, that's what we're talking about. The equalizer's on. Everybody is low. Chrisberg has joined into the fight. The stopwatches are getting used. Kurt's about to knock out. Lob 2 down. These are going to be the kills coming in. Ericsson gets it. Kex goes in with a cyclone, and Chrisberg has to jump away. Jumps over the wall to avoid the hook. But that's going to be Gooby able to find the kill. Curve is low HP, and Gooby still has all the health to work with. Riddle just run through Nordavind. MC gets a double kill.
And that fight looked so good. You're in the choke point. You're landing all the AoE. We're seeing the Mega now. We're seeing the equalizer. It should have been a 1 fight, but the reason it's not is because they didn't connect on the MC and Gooby once again. The Ezreal's free hitting, the Nidalee's free hitting. Yes, they killed the Set and the Nautilus. Who really cares? Their job is to tank damage. And essentially, Nordavind, you find the big AoE, but you're not finding the critical targets once more. And until you do, you're not winning this game.
I mean, the one kind of silver lining Nordavind can take here is Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. They're all going to be up for it.
Yeah, I mean, the other ones, the Nexus isn't down yet, so...
True, yeah. The game's not over.
We can see from this replay, they don't actually connect the ult, and you can see Gooby and MC just jump away. They're still basically full health here. Yes, there's this big churn in the middle, but they're consistently poking down damage, and then Kex with a beautiful engage to essentially 100-0 Chrisberg with ill health from Gooby. And it's just, again, these two are cleaning up the fights, just laying out damage, and there's no real answer from Nordavind. There is going to be a setup this Dragon. They have to contest this one, but look at the poke already coming in. Chrisberg just gets taken out there. The ult coming in from the Set. slams on our interim. Look at the team fight there. They are just cleaning house with this. Gooby takes down the Leona. Cleanup going to come in from PlayStation. It's Ericsson alive, the last one available. And he's unable to do anything in this situation. Riddle just going to be able to close this one and end their losing streak. It's only really 2, but get their first win of the season. 20 seconds with Chrisbig. I don't think it's enough. Are you back now, Jake?
Yeah, I was muted. I hate myself right now. But Slowq smurfed that harder than you smurfed that fight, mate. Absolutely bopped Chrisbig at the beginning. And this is going to be Riddle taking the win and taking the game. The lost streak is over. And Nordavind are shut down.
And I mean, this is pretty big for both. I mean, definitely for Riddle. The fact that they get their first win is one of the harder teams in their group. You know, we look at the way the group's laid out. Galaxy Race and Fnatic at the upper end. Those are obviously hard teams to beat. But the fact that they're challenging Nordavind, bearing in mind, there is 3 playoff spots available for each group. This puts them in good stead. If they've already taken the first round robin against Nordavind, who are one of the main competitors. If they manage to win that second round robin one and maintain a decent amount of points, very good chance that they'll be contesting for one of those top 3 spots, which, considering they opened up with a 0-2 start to the season, definitely looking solid there and a deserved win.
Yeah, very deserved win for Riddle. And with that, they are finally on the board as we come into week 2. Now it's time for us to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have the analyst desk to break that game down. So we'll see you in a moment.